we are continuing on from the last video. I am using this red color to go in and shadow this crease a little bit. So again, I'm constantly just looking back at the reference photo, coming in and darkening this shadowed part of this crease in the eye, adding pink anywhere or that reddish tone into the eyelid. On some of these freckles, I'm adding a little bit of this red as well. I'm using light pressure. So as I have this red in my hand, what I'm doing is looking at this reference photo and I'm trying to eye anywhere that has reddish tones that needs a little darkening in more of a reddish direction. Things like browns, deep rusty oranges, things like that. Even this red, if you do it very lightly, can imply a little bit of the thinness of the eyelid where the blood flow is showing through a little bit, so it's a little rosier than maybe thicker parts of the skin. So now I'm going to come in with the purple. So purple is made up of red and blue. And the opposite color on the color wheel would be the other primary color, which is yellow. So when we come in with this purple, what it's doing is acting in a way that contrasts any yellow tones. So it's a way we can build up the shadowing and the depth of color and imply deeper shadows within the drawing without having to use what we've often thought growing up. We use black to make things deeper tints of that color or deeper shades. But we can use this trick of choosing the opposite color on the color wheel to really pull in that deeper tone as well. So again, I'm going through and reinforcing some of the freckles, any of the blotchiness on the skin. Going through and double checking that shadow line on the inner part of the eyelid. And then lightly adding an overall layer to those parts. So I can use this purple to come in and reinforce some of those darker areas we filled in, as well as bring in a little more depth and range into the colors that we already have established. So a little bit here, I can use it to help shade that lid where it meets the eyeball. A little bit of the lashes reflecting on the white of the eye, reinforcing those from our first video of this series. So now I'm coming in with the very deep, I believe that was blue, I cannot see, sorry, or black. Coming in and reinforcing the pupil. Hopefully if you're watching this on a larger screen, that was more obvious for you. And then I'm going to go in and just really pick out those absolute darkest parts of any shadowing, the lashes, to really build up that contrast. Now that we've started to lay the color down, we can add in even more depth into the color and really play up the lights and darks. So accentuating some of the bases of the eyelashes before they come out and have more light reflected off of them. A lot of them, since they're coming straight out at our eye as the viewer, get highlighted and it's hard to see the shape of them, but they're dipping down there, covering part of that iris and creating more of a shadow. So I'm using black very sparingly on this portrait. If we were doing someone with a darker skin tone or brown eyes, we would be able to use a little bit more black. We might even use black in the crease of the eyelid. Definitely more black on the lashes. So it's all relative, whereas here in this skin tone, we're sticking with mostly terracottas, oranges, beiges, light pinks. With some of the beautiful darker brown skin tones, we'll be using a darker color palette, of course. And so to add even more shading and contrast on top of that, we would go more into that black color. So I'm edging a little bit of where the iris meets the lower lid, just helping establish the boundary there. Refilling in a little bit of these lash reflections. In the first video, I went over the iris with mineral spirits and really have break down those colors. And then sometimes after that dries, you'll see that you do want to add another layer of black within that to just deepen the darkest parts again. And since the binders have been broken down, a new layer goes on really nicely. So now we'll come in with this light brown color. And since this has more of a yellowy base, there isn't red within it, this will help provide another variation to the color that we have on the eyelid already. Really grounding some of those colors. I'm using very light pressure here. Again, respecting those little white pores that we left blank. So lightly just adding a little bit more brown into this eyelid. I would love when you're finished watching this video if you would leave a comment. Let me know if you are going to use like a lemon buttery yellow here. Let me know if you are brand new to drawing with colored pencils, if you've used these professional level colored pencils before, or if this is your first introduction to really what they can do. If you have certain questions or you need advice on ordering some, let me know. I'm happy to help. Just leave a comment and I will make sure to answer any questions you have. Coming in with a light rosy pink again. That also helps me for future videos know a little more who is watching them so that I can make sure to make drawing lessons that really apply to the people that are watching. So here I just couldn't stop myself doing a little on this lower lid. It helps frame that eye, the iris and the white of the eye so much, just having a little bit there of color. So now what I'm doing is looking at the reference photo and my drawing, and I'm noticing what are the areas that need a little bit more shading, depth of color, that need to be darkened up a little bit. We can see on the drawing that it's pretty light overall on the lid. And when we look at the reference photo, there is some darker spots. What I decided to do here was come in and fill in all of those white pores that we had circled around and left blank. And why I'm doing this is that, one, it protects it by having that white waxiness on it. It helps just preserve that as white. And two, when we go in and add either mineral spirits or rubbing alcohol, we want to make sure that anywhere we touch with either of those has colored pencil already on the paper. We do not want to apply those products directly to paper that has not been saturated with colored pencil. And the reason for that is it will leave like an oily sort of mark on your paper. And it can be really hard once you have that oily blotch on your drawing to ever fully conceal it. So we really just want to be aware of that and careful. So coming in and paying special care around those highlights as well. Any darkened areas that need darkening. We're really trying to help give this part of the lid a rounded feel, where the bottom part near the lash line is darker, near the crease is darker, and where it rounds outward, there are highlights. So I'm going to come in here now that we have layered many layers of color on the eyelid and really bring out more of the orange tones. We're adding orange where it needs it in the shadowing, and then also any freckles that are more of that rusty orange color. I like the vibrancy of the bright orange here. It really plays up the overall tones of this portrait. Coming in and working that crease a little bit thicker, so it's not simply just a brown line. Come in again here and darken up some of those freckles with this terracotta. So you notice I'm going with the lash line on those parts, working to not just scribble right over the lashes. And then again, noticing anywhere that needs a little darkening here. So what I wanted to show here was, if I come in now and with a light rosy pink, just do a layer over the top of the whole thing. This is another alternative to having left all of those spots white. And I'm going to show you a few different options here on how you could continue this portrait from here. So now I'm going to go through with this mineral spirits. You just need a small amount. I'm dipping my cotton swab in and then rubbing off the extra. Being very careful when I rub it on this eyelid that I only do the parts that have colored pencil on them. And just really, what this allows you to do is sort of blend them into each other. A little bit of smearing. They become a little bit workable where you can kind of blend and blur them together. So I'm doing the lashes, but because they're so much darker of a color, I'm being very aware to do them in the direction that they are. So if any smears, that it does not go against the look that we're wanting. And once you do this, you want to give it a little bit of time to dry, about 10-15 minutes. You can get away with a little less time if you are using mineral spirits. And already though, we can just see this eye coming together here. So I let this dry a little while, but what I wanted to show you was, here is the Posca marker I was talking about. This is another option. Now, die-hard fine artists are probably rolling their eyes and rolling over in their graves right now, but it's all about what your goal is with your artwork. If you are doing a portrait for your family member, your friend, of your grandmother, your child, sometimes technology has allowed us to use hacks that really allow us to just get the job done. So part of my job here is just to show you different options, and you can make the choice which one you prefer. There is always satisfaction in knowing if you're working really hard and aiming for the most fine art experience, then avoiding the marker use, of course, would be your best bet. But other times it makes sense. So there we have it. Once the mineral spirits or rubbing alcohol dries, you could come in one more time and just add a little bit more depth. But overall, really happy with this turned out. There we have the completed little section of the lid and the eyeball. Again, if this is something you'd like to see me continue on, let me know in the comments. And I can just keep working in 20-minute sections here and plugging away at this entire eye and eyebrow. All right, thanks so much for watching, you guys. I am so happy to share this time with you. Have a wonderful day. Bye.